Hey everyone, it's me, Doomlink, and welcome back to Doomlink's Random Hunts. We are once again in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I am pleased to say that there are actually a number of people playing the game today. I don't know what's going on. It was like 32 people when I signed in or logged in or whatever terminology I want to use to describe that. You know, joined the server. Anyway, point being, usually it's like less than 20, so I'm pretty happy with the player numbers right now, and I'm also happy to be back into this game. Or just playing it in general. I felt that over the last 2 or 3 weeks I didn't really have enough Monster Hunter content on my channel, so I thought, hey, let's go and do some random hunts. And what better game to play than 3 Ultimate, am I right? Although I do very much enjoy playing games like Portable Third and Freedom Unite in the Random Hunt series, I do love coming back to this game. Of course, this was the game that I started Random Hunts with, and the reason why was because at that time, this was the most practical game for me to play. I had no real means to play the other games, or so I felt at that time. But either way, without going into deep explanations about that, I hope you guys have been enjoying my try playthrough as of late. I haven't really been uploading it as much as I really should be, but I do think the next time I will record something live, it will be that game, and it will be that particular recording series. So, I hope you guys are indeed enjoying that. I felt that perhaps it wasn't really fully sating the desires of my Monster Hunter viewer base. I just had that feeling, you know, because it gets enough views, but not necessarily as many views as my Random Hunts videos, for example, or at the very least about the same. So I was thinking maybe you guys would appreciate some of this as well, so that's why I'm recording it at the moment. Alright, let's get our spirit combo up a little bit. I'm a little bit rusty with Monster Hunter in general. The only Monster Hunter game I have really been playing at the moment is Try. I've just been taking a bit of a Monster Hunter break, or a break from Monster Hunter. If I say Monster Hunter break, it sounds as if I'm taking a break from something else by playing Monster Hunter. That's certainly not what I have been doing. I think, like anything, you just need to take some time away from something that you play very often. I've been that way with Souls recently, I've been that way with Monster Hunter recently, and I suppose not everyone can identify with that feeling. I think some people just keep playing the same shit constantly for their whole lives, or at least their whole lives up to that moment in time. I suppose they probably still have a long life to live, so we have yet to see if they're going to play something else. But, yeah, I really do think that some people just don't need that sort of variation in their gameplay experience. But me, I can't just play Monster Hunter games non-stop for years on end. I do need a few months away from it so that I can come back fresh and have fun. It ultimately comes down to the fact that I'm not always in the mood, you know. I do need to be in the mood to do anything. I can't really save you. I do actually have life powders, shockingly. And that's a bit of a nasty thing to admit to an audience who may or may not be aware of it, but I do not always bring life powders. I'm not much of a support player, I think you'll find. Despite the fact that Monster Hunter is very much a team-based game, I don't really support my team, nor do I expect to be supported, and I suppose the only reason why is because I've always hunted with random people, so there's not as deep of a sense of camaraderie as perhaps there would be if you were playing with people you knew very well. So, it always interests me to think that there are people who have never really spent an extended period of time playing Monster Hunter with random people. Some people just have a group of friends that they've always played Monster Hunter with, and I do have people that I play Monster Hunter with, for sure, but not constantly. I play this game pretty frequently when I am actually in the mood to play it. And I'm certainly not going to tie down my gameplay experience to the availability of whatever friends I may have. I suppose that's especially the case with myself due to time zone differences. I don't know why I had time frame coming into my mind there, and it just wouldn't go away. Like sometimes you're looking for a word, and then the wrong word appears in your brain, and you're just thinking, okay, well that's not the word, let's move on to another possibility. But that one word just doesn't want to leave your mind. It's like, no, say this, and you're just thinking, no, that's not the word. So I was thinking time frame, but I was actually looking for time zone. Anyway, the inner workings of Doomlink's crazy mind, I suppose. Punto says the monster is invincible. I suppose Rathian really has taken quite a beating. I'm not sure what the equipment loadout of my teammates is, but I can say that I, at the very least, am dealing pretty good damage, so it is interesting that the Rathian has survived. She is limping at the very least. Oh, I didn't really go the right way, evidently. Do I have Psycho Serums? I can't believe I'm having a Psycho Serum for this. Really? She's in the desert area. No wonder I was confused. Imagine flying from the area we were in previously to the... Oh, she's not in the desert area. It's faster to go this way. Hold on. Apparently, even though I have played so... Alright, relax with the ping. Anyway, again, another thing that is just a little pet peeve of mine. I don't like it when people ping, and those who play with me frequently find that to be very entertaining. I would ask if we are capturing or killing, but my keyboard is kind of far away and I couldn't be bothered asking people. Yes, of course, I am playing the game. The only game where I can free type to people in a hunt. So, at least Roman's asking. But yes, I am playing the one game where I can free type in a hunt, and I don't even have my keyboard nearby. I suppose you just sort of, what's the word? You lose a sense of perspective, and you don't appreciate the things that you just have. But once this is gone, I will indeed feel the pain of loss, without a doubt. Anyway, what are they talking about? Says Punto. Okay, that's a great response to a question. If you, you know, if you don't care either way, just say that. Just say, I don't mind, instead of, It's not really... If you've got communication and at your fingertips, and you have the desire to communicate in any way, you may as well do it meaningfully. Anyway, I suppose I shouldn't be judging as the person who couldn't even be bothered picking up their keyboard to communicate, but either way, I've always found it kind of gross and creepy that there is this tuft of hair here, and also here on the shoulders. And it just makes me think that Rathian is a rather mature, hairy lady. Which, you know, maybe for some people that's rather enticing. For me, it's... I don't mind hairy women, but not that hairy, if you know what I mean. But maybe I'm bizarre, drawing comparisons between a Rathian and a human woman who happens to have that much hair. But anyway, let's not even continue on this line of conversation, that's just bizarre. So, as you can see, I'm at my limit for conflagrant sacks, the limit that I have set personally, not the limit that the game has set. I don't know why I've decided on 199 slog bones instead of 99, but whatever. So I will see you guys in the next hunt. I don't know what it will be. This is a G-turns room. At the very least, all the quests that we will be doing will be G-rank level. But again, I'm not sure what will come next, and that's always an enjoyment when it comes to random hunts. If I am wanting to just hunt anything, G-turns rooms really do a good job of just, you know, entertaining me, I suppose. Either way, I will see you guys in the next hunt. Alright, shockingly, I have just been selected as the next person to choose a quest. Now, the problem with this is that I actually have things that I want to do. Normally, I would give up my turn in the interest of hunting something random. However, I do, at this point, have things that I want to upgrade, and I just need to remember what they are. I know that a Latrion is a monster that I want to fight. Hold on, bows. We want to look at bows. What do we need to upgrade? Really, the only thing is the Elatrion bow. This is frustrating. I know that there are things that I want to hunt, but I've been put on the spot, officially. Maybe I have a list of things that I'm trying to make on my computer. This is very frustrating, I have to say, because I do want to take this opportunity to do something that I want, but I don't think I want to fight Elatrion with these guys. In fact, I've done too much Elatrion these days. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a quest that is going to give me lots of HRP. So let's go and see what we have available at the moment. We have... Save the Tundra. That looks like a fun quest. Maybe we'll do Save the Tundra. Now I don't have my USB keyboard even plugged in, I have discovered, so I'm going to have to type to them with my gamepad. But, you know what, I think we will do Save the Tundra. I'll see you guys in that quest. Fire? Why are you using fire? My goodness! Imagine using a weapon that heavily capitalizes on element And you're fighting a Brachydios that is obviously not going to take any damage from fire. Jesus Christ. Now, I don't even think either of these monsters are weak to fire. I think they're both weak to water. That's my memory of it. I'm pretty sure regular Gigginox is weak to fire, but I'm quite sure Baleful is weak to water or ice. So really, water or ice would work really well for this fight. I decided to go with raw just because I felt like doing lots of damage, which is pretty much what this weapon does. Oh shit, should have used my high-grade earplug set. Well, that's my fucking mistake. Well, oh well. Moving forward, let's do some damage, shall we? Less damage overall because I'm not going to be able to resist the roars, which is very annoying, but whatever. Uh-oh. I think as long as you're on the tip of that wing, you should be safe. That was the feeling that I had at that moment. That worked out rather well, didn't it? Okay. As you can see, I'm getting negative procs here because I'm not making use of the critical draw. But you don't want to just only use critical draw. It's good to use it as much as possible, but don't use it in place of a normal greatsword combo once you're in that combo. It's very useful to still do your greatsword combos for the sake of DPS. I don't think that just no matter the situation, sheathing immediately then going back into a draw attack is going to, and I really should have seen that coming, but I don't think that's going to necessarily balance out the lack of DPS, as in the damage that you would deal with the critical strike. Alright, I'm going to get hit with this next. Fortunately, it didn't hit me. Now, the reason why I didn't actually get a critical proc there was because this weapon has negative affinity. It's like I added an extra fucking syllable in that. In fact, it wasn't like I had done that. I certainly did do that. But anyway, the reason why is because this thing gains 100 affinity, but because this is a negative affinity weapon, it doesn't actually have 100 affinity when I use critical draw. So therefore, there is a chance that I will fail the critical hit. It's just a fairly low chance. So critical draw is still very useful with this weapon, basically. And even if I don't get the critical proc, it's good damage. It's just the critical makes it insane damage, because this is probably the best greatsword in the game. I would be very shocked if any greatsword were better. I know there's that one guy saying, the event fist weapon's better, it has more damage. Well, of course that would be a joke, because if any of you know that fist weapon, I forgot what it's called now, it's the one that you get from the Naked Joe fight in this game. It is so bad, it has to be one of the worst greatswords I've ever seen. It would be pretty interesting if you were to use it in a game that had Bludgeoner. That would be very interesting. It has extremely high negative affinity, and it also has very shit sharpness. I think it gets a little bit of blue. Oh dear. Okay, fortunately I'm not getting caught in that. Sort of missed my charge opportunity there, but yeah, I'm pretty sure even at sharpness +1 it has only a little bit of blue for the sharpness. It has very nice raw damage, but probably only like 200 to 300 inflated raw more than this thing. In fact, my end raw here is 1593. That's crazy. So, I really don't think that anyone with any sense would use that big fist greatsword that I'm talking about. It's just terrible. It's really, really bad. So, yeah, my recommendation would be just don't. Use it for fun, maybe, but don't use it actually thinking that you're dealing great damage, because while it's probably not horrendous, just it makes me feel dirty to even imagine using that weapon, because again, if you don't have a game with bitter affinity and bludgeoner, it's just a terrible weapon. I think it would be very interesting in a game that had those two skills, but yeah, no. Not in 3rd generation, no chance. Now have I don't even know if I suppose because I was given the Mega Potion I must have needed one at that time, but we are now at our 10 max, so we will not continue carving. Just for the sake of saving time, I will use the Psycho Serum. I can buy as many as... oh. I just assumed that they were going to be in the area at the same time together. This is only a double monster quest. I'm shocked that they need to spawn one at a time. And you notice that there's only one monster on the map. I was thinking maybe the first one would spawn, and there would be a side monster like a great baggy or something. But no, actually, it's just one at a time. Why that's necessary, I've got no idea. I don't know what they're doing over there. They are just partying with the dead. Baleful Gigginox. I'm pretty sure he spawns here. I'm not going to go so far as to place a trap down where I think he's going to spawn. I think it's about here. Could be wrong. It's just my gut feeling, you know. I'm not even remembering deeply where he spawns. As in, like, from the first... But okay, was pretty much there. But I just had a feeling in my waters that that was where he spawned. It was a strange way to describe what I was feeling there, but ultimately I had forgotten where he spawned, but something inside of me said that he spawned there. That's what I was trying to say. Oh god. Of course, using slime weapons against a slime monster isn't necessarily a bad thing, it just... I wouldn't do it because it feels weird. I'm pretty sure that his slime resistance isn't crazy. And even if it was crazy, it would probably just be about as effective as Blast is in the later games, because, as you know, slime is just ridiculous in this game. I do like to refer to it as slime, because that's literally what it is. It's a slime weapon, and the slime build-up is not a Blast build-up, it's just slime build-up, so calling it Blast would be incorrect, but I have actually caught myself, after taking long breaks from this game, calling slime Blast, which is kind of unforgivable in my opinion, but fortunately I'm out of that habit, which I guess shows that I'm actually using my brain for once. It's always a good sign. Now, again, I'm pretty sure I could have been elementally effective in this fight just by using a single element weapon, which would have been water, but I don't always use raw weapons. I thought it would be nice to do something a little bit different. I'm not a raw weapon kind of guy. If any of you have watched me for an extended period of time, you would know that I am not just inclined to use elemental weapons often, I am utterly driven to always use something that's elementally effective. I've got some sort of hard-on for elemental weapons, and it's not just in Monster Hunter, just any sort of video game where elemental damage plays a part, I've got an interest in that. I don't know what it is, but there's something about just brute forcing an enemy with only raw damage. It doesn't really appeal to me. It feels like there aren't enough variables to the damage that I'm dealing. It feels... I wouldn't go so far as to say it's one-dimensional, but it just doesn't interest me as much as, say, using an elemental weapon. I do enjoy using raw weapons in the context of Monster Hunter, just for the sake of variance, but I don't really use it as much as other people do. Definitely, when it comes to damage calculations, more raw is usually just better in general. But at least I'm not so far gone in my love of elemental damage that I choose to use very high elemental damage weapons but fairly low raw weapons when elemental damage is present. And the reason why is because I know that elemental damage should not be treated as a main damage dealer when it comes to weapon calculations, weapon damage calculations that is more specifically. It should be treated as additional damage, so therefore you shouldn't be aiming for something with fairly high elemental value and then kind of not great raw. You want something that's pretty good raw, but also doesn't have really shit element, you know? Because I feel that element should be treated as additional damage. You want the weapon to be dealing good raw damage as a baseline for what will then be an additional damage multiplier with element. Now, I don't even know if that links up into reality because I don't focus on damage numbers. I don't do the calculations when it comes to Monster Hunter. I cannot think of a more boring way to enjoy the game. That's my personal opinion. But people do it, and people love that. And that's some people's replayability. They go into the inner workings of the game and do that. The reason why you need to sort of work behind the scenes with all those calculations instead of just having them all visible in the game is because I don't think that's the point of Monster Hunter. The point of Monster Hunter is to watch the way the monster reacts to what you do and determine what's good in that way. And you sort of learn through experience, you learn through failure. That's the whole idea of Monster Hunter in my opinion. So doing all these deep damage calculations to see what is absolutely effective, to me, completely misses the point of Monster Hunter. But people do have a right to enjoy the game in that way. because of course it does not, it's not like it's against any sort of rule or truly in violation of the spirit of Monster Hunter, but I feel that it doesn't, for me it doesn't do anything, and I think it's natural for it to not do anything for me, because it's not, in my view, the point of Monster Hunter. Again, all opinions, and if you disagree, you are welcome to disagree, because I can assure you plenty of my friends would disagree with that. But it's just the way I feel, and I think it's worth at least offering some kind of explanation as to why I don't deal with damage calculations in the same way that other people do. Now, I've just noticed that because I've been monologuing this whole time, which is kind of what I do, I'm very good at crapping on, I think you'll find. I have not been sharpening my greatsword as often as I should be, of course. We've just been talking about damage calculations, but it is important to note that certain things are particularly effective, such as purple sharpness. When you're using a greatsword, it is so important to use purple sharpness, or rather have purple sharpness. In fact, I wouldn't even go so far as to say that. I would say that if purple sharpness is something that your weapon can achieve, and you happen to have sharpness +1, you should not just let yourself drop from purple sharpness and then continue dropping down to, say, blue or green. Because purple sharpness is not only a really good sharpness in terms of adding damage to your weapon, but this is a greatsword. This is a weapon where those individual hits mean more than anything in terms of damage. It's not just little, individual hits in a combo. It's not really that way. This is all about that single hit dealing a great deal of damage in that moment, and your sharpness depletes less because of these less frequent hits. So for me, it becomes more important than ever to sharpen up to purple so that all of these big heavy hits that the entire greatsword weapon type is designed to capitalize on. I can't remember how I started that sentence, but it's important to have purple sharpness so that you are dealing as much damage at that moment. Anyway, that is a dead Brachydios, a monster that is now pretty much a mainstay in the series. But do keep in mind this was his first appearance. He was the flagship of Monster Hunter 3G, which was the Japanese version of 3 Ultimate, and I don't need to start getting into my complaints about how they used Azure Rathalos for the frickin' flagship of the English version. I don't know who decided that that was a good idea. Because Azure Rathalos is not a super unique monster, whereas Brachydios is, in the context of 3rd generation. So I've got no idea why they made that decision. Maybe they felt that it was more striking to a Western audience because it's a dragon and whatever else, but I don't feel that at all. I think that if the Western audience is that fucking stupid that they need a dragon instead of a big green glowing headed thing on the front of their game to actually buy it, they're probably not worth appealing to at all. But anyway. And that sort of gets into my whole debate about why Monster Hunter is going to decline heavily the more the Western audience is taken into account, and the more the Western audience dictates the direction of Monster Hunter, because there is a reason why Japanese games are so good. It's because they're not tailored to the Western market, they are tailored to the Japanese market. They just know what they're doing. The Japanese know how to make a game, and the Japanese know how to enjoy a game. At least that's my opinion. So, again, if we start focusing on the West too much, Monster Hunter's gonna die. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the West fucking sucks. They wouldn't know a good game if it smacked them up the fucking ass. I'm serious. Anyway, let's not get into that conversation. And I will, in fact, end this video. I don't know how long we've been going for. It seems that I've been recording for about 25 minutes. So, I do thank you all for joining me. Sometimes these recordings can go very long, sometimes not that long at all, but it does depend on the hunts that I do. It's quite varied in that way. It feels kind of bad that I'm just going to leave these guys after doing my quest, but I didn't even expect to be selected, so yeah, really, I don't really feel so bad about it, with that taken into account. But anyway, I do thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys when I'm next recording Monster Hunter. Bye bye.